Hey, so we just got out of How to Be a Latin Lover, which what I told you when we left, it could have been worse.
It could have been worse.
How to Be a Latin Lover is essentially not as bad as a Happy Madison movie. Like, it's a step. This easily could be a Happy Madison film. Like, it's kind of shot that way. It's sort of presented that way a little bit at times, but it's not a Happy Madison film, so it's not fucking terrible.
You know what movie it kind of reminded me of? Do you remember The Ladies' Man?
The Tim Meadows movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, not enough to... I remember thinking that was bad.
It
but
had sort of like a similar sort of Taylor Prevention.
I can see that, now that I think about it.
My comparison was mostly because there were parts that maybe have to hide, but then there were enough like charming parts to mitigate that, that I left feeling generally pretty positive about the experience.
It eventually kind of got there. Like, if this was straight up a Happy Madison movie, two things. The title of the movie would have been the name of the main character. And two, the character never would have gotten charming.
That's true.
From beginning to, like, if this was Deuce Bigalow, or if this was an Adam Sandler starring film, he would have started as a douchebag and ended as a douchebag. In this, I'm not gonna lie, the first half of this movie was kind of rough. But eventually, this character that honestly starts out pretty fucking unwatchable eventually does get kind of charming.
Well, the guy's like a big star in Mexico, am I right?
I think so.
And so, like, you could tell, why. You know, he has like star power, you know? And so, like, I'm not a huge fan of the kind of movie where it's just horrible, embarrassing things happening to an innately unlikable character. And this movie had a lot of that, and so I was in the same boat as you, where it's just like, is it just... when is this over?
I felt that way too. Like, I noticed we both checked our clocks simultaneously at one point of this film.
It's a 2-hour movie. I was not expecting
it was a little long.
long.
The movie was a little long, and when this started out, I was like, I don't like watching this character. Like, this character is not funny. I don't care about all this bad shit that's happening to him. And honestly, it had little to do with the actor. It was more so just how the character is written and the jokes and just the overall mean-spiritedness of the character. But that didn't have to do with the actor, because I could see some... I could see some what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I could see some potential there in this story as well. Like, I could see this story working in a movie about this guy who's married to an older woman just for her money, and then
she leaves him.
But it did hit a point where eventually I was like, you know what? I don't mind seeing a movie about it did have an arc. You gotta sit through some bullshit. But eventually, it does get an arc where it does have some genuinely sweet moments in the film.
Yeah, when for me the tipping point, I think, was when him and his sister had that drinking party.
Yeah.
Even though he was still, operating from a completely self-centered spot, her character had enough heart in that scene to kind of, draw me in.
Yeah.
And that's when his character started developing, was right after that. And so, but before that, it was just him being a douchebag and the movie throwing, like, comedy cameos at me.
Yeah.
Because, everybody's in this movie.
Ben Schwartz popped up.
Ben Schwartz is there for, like, 15 seconds.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Rob Lowe was in it. We had Michael Cera.
Yeah.
We had Rob Riggle and
Rob Hubel. Rob Corddry. They got all the Robs in this movie. The only Rob who's not in this movie is Santa Christ doesn't pop up in the movie.
Yeah, Kristen Bell. We had Raquel Welch. Is that who that was?
Yeah, it was kind of cool seeing Raquel Welch in something again. Yeah, she pops up in this movie. When the turning point for me was, I was like, he had really good moments with the kid. Like,
that kid was goddamn adorable.
Yeah, they played off of each other really well, and he was sweet with the kid, and that did kind of humanize this character a little bit. It was at that point when I was like, okay, this is a little different than like a Happy Madison movie, because I'm starting to see an arc here. Like, and there were some funny side bits in the film. The stuff with Kristen Bell as this cat girl who owns like 100 cats in her house and constantly has scratches on herself, and she works at a Frogurt place.
Froyolo.
Yeah.
Where they have to sing to you every time you order yogurt.
Right, yeah. That starts out kind of obnoxious, but it there is even
comes
kind
around.
of, it does kind of come around. She starts using cat puns.
There's a lot of jokes in this movie that are basically sold by the person delivering them.
Yeah, because Kristen Bell is really funny in this. And when I was watching it, I was kind of like, I sort of hope they end up together.
Man, I'm glad they didn't.
I was kind of like, who else do they got?
No, because I like that he was like, all right, let's do this. It's happening. And she's like, no, I'm attracted to men much more attractive and younger than you.
And that was funny. Like, on the reverse side of that, it's like, on the one hand, I was like, that would be kind of funny if they ended up together. But on the other hand, I guess I do kind of appreciate the fact that he learns some lessons in this movie, but not every lesson. So he still ends up with a rich older woman at the end of the movie. But
that's
at least
the one that he has to work for.
He does, yeah. But at least he, I don't know, learns how to be a person by the end of the movie. Like, he treats his family well by the end of it, I guess. The Rob Riggle and Rob Hubel stuff got a few laughs out of me in the movie.
He had this tiny bike that he kept trying to sell.
Yeah.
He ordered online because he misread the dimensions.
Uh-huh.
And at the very end of the movie, you see him opening up a UPS box, and it's got this little Barbie bike in it. He's like, oh.
Yeah, like they never quite learn how to make threats towards him because he owes them money. And there was a funny gag with, I forget this actress's name, but I like her in stuff I've seen her in. There was a funny gag where he had his nephew drive the car up to pick up his mom, Salma Hayek, and Salma Hayek's boss is standing there, and Salma Hayek looks horrified that her 10-year-old kid just pulled the car up, and her boss just goes like, I'd be upset about this if I even cared about children. So, I mean, that was good. I forget her name.
I was trying to place her. Isn't she on New Girl?
Yeah, she was Winston's boss in season 1 of New Girl.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, that lady.
Yeah, I forget her name, but that was a good line. Salma Hayek is great, and no matter what she's in, even bad Salma Hayek movies, somehow she still comes out of shit like the Adam Sandler movies she was in. Mm-hmm. Somehow she can still kind of come out of it slightly dignified.
Yeah, she was fantastic in this.
Oh no, she is great in this movie.
There's a scene where she's and it's again the scene that sold me on the movie, mm-hmm. where her and her someone's asked her out on a date. Her brother kind of finagled it because reasons. And so she's trying to figure out if she should accept or not because her husband died and she hasn't really seen anyone since then. And so her and her brother are drinking together and they're kind of talking, and she's talking about when her husband died. She couldn't really. She wanted to just shut down, but she couldn't because she had a 5-year-old son that she had to take care of. And so the method she came up with to kind of cope was to take super sad songs and turn them into salsa songs. Yeah. And so then it ended up they sang a song that was basically called the sad song. Yeah. And then turned into a salsa, and they ended up dancing to it. And I think it was an emotional scene, but they made it funny as well.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie really is like somebody with talent made an Adam Sandler film. It is. The movie's directed by Ken Marino. I saw the two names who wrote the script, and neither one of them I recognized offhand. not saying I haven't seen anything that they haven't. I just didn't recognize their names at first glance.
I don't recognize writers unless it's Tom Lennon and Ben Grant.
Unless what?
It's Tom Lennon and Ben Grant.
So,
Or Ben Affleck and
Matt Damon?
Yeah.
I haven't recognized names since 1997. Do you know screenwriters? Well, I know the person who wrote The Pacifier.
Did Vin Diesel write it?
Tom Lennon wrote The Pacifier, didn't he?
I would not surprise me. I know he wrote Herbie the
Fully Loaded?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the at least the first 2 Night at the Museums is.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he has a weird screenwriting filmography.
He wrote Taxi.
The Jimmy Fallon one?
Yes.
Holy shit.
Because that's the reason he wrote Night at the Museum, because he wrote Taxi, and the studio was all excited because, it's going to be like the start of Jimmy Fallon's movie career, and then it bombed.
I liked Fever Pitch.
They had already signed Tom Lennon into a contract to write another movie. I think the understanding being that it would be Taxi 2, but
there is a Taxi 2.
They're like, "Fuck you! You ruined Jimmy Fallon's movie career.
Yeah,
now
fuck
write us
you."
another movie." And he's like, "All right, Night at the Museum."
Here's this bullshit. You ever see the original Taxi that's like produced by Luc Besson?
No.
It's basically the difference between like brick mansions and the
District
B13.
13. Yeah.
Yeah. The original Luc Besson produced one is a lot, and I think there is sequels to that. But like, no, fuck that. Let's remake it with Jimmy Fallon. This movie, I think it's a solid rental, honestly.
Yeah, it's gonna be on Netflix eventually.
Yeah, if you pop it up on Netflix, like, again, you gotta sit through some bullshit in the first part of this.
What was it, like, first 40 minutes?
Probably. The opening scene got a chuckle out of me when his dad dies. Because
I was so mad at that scene.
Were you? I kind of chuckled at that a little bit.
It just reminded me of, what was that movie? God, we watched a movie and it was a bad one, and they killed off the character's mom in like the first 5 minutes. Was it Paul Blart Mall Cop 2?
I wasn't at that one.
I think it was Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, where like they killed off his mom in like the first 5 seconds, just because dead mom.
I kind of laughed at it in this. Like, his dad is a semi-truck driver, and he falls asleep at the wheel, and they live just in the middle of nowhere. And the semi-truck just drives through the house, and you think, like, oh, well, he's fine. No, it blows up, like, right after. I was like, okay, well, that's the tone we're setting for this. Again, like, it was, I don't know, like, I get it. Since it clearly wasn't being played straight, I got a chuckle out of that, because I'm a terrible person. Speaking of dead dads, don't worry, it's in regards to the movie. At the end, when he had the box of like because those were like letters that the kid wrote to his dad, right?
Yeah.
And then
he was using, I think, the stationery from it, so the kid would know it was from him. When he was the kid's little girlfriend.
I thought that was going somewhere completely different at first. Like, I was like, how are they gonna do this? Because the main character, Maximo, has like the box of the kid's letters to his dad, and then he picks out a paper and starts writing, and I was like, is he gonna write to the kid like as his dad from the afterlife or something like that?
I figured he was just gonna like write to him like, "Dear Maximo, your mom won't let me see you. I'm so sorry. I got your camera stolen and ruined the science fair."
Is this gonna turn into Dear God with Greg Kinnear?
The kid's got a dead dad.
Yeah.
This movie's riddled with dead dads.
It really is, man.
And so he's got like this like little treasure box, and he writes his dad a letter pretty much every night. This is like a way of still feeling close to him. And so him and Maximo kind of became their thing, because Maximo was like, "Oh, I'll write a letter to my dead father."
Yeah.
And so then when they fall in the outs, because Maximo humiliates him at his at the kid's Ugo's little girlfriend's birthday party, Ugo throws the box away, and Maximo finds it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this
the
movie's
end.
surprisingly complex for how fucking unnuanced the humor was.
Yeah.
There was one joke that maybe okay, so he got kicked out of his sister's house, and so he's staying with Kristen Bell with all of her cats, and they have like kind of a heart-to-heart where Kristen Bell's like, sometimes when people hurt you, you still take care of them, that's family. He's like, oh, my family, not anymore, and she's like, it's never too late. And then she pauses and she says, you gotta do what you gotta do. And me, and also Brad, and also the lady in the back of the audience had the same sort of arc of,
And even, like, there was even another funny line, like, a second after that, because a cat jumps up on, Maximo's shoulder, and what does she say? She's like,
"Oh, I've never even seen that cat before."
I've never even seen that cat before. Yeah, the movie does have some. Yeah, it's fine.
There's a lot of like 80-yard extra jokes in this movie.
I noticed that too, actually.
Yeah, there's like a scene where Rob Riggle and Rob Hubel are like leaving down an alley, and I guess they must have just called those two into the studio and be like, pack as many jokes as you can into this leaving down the alley scene.
Yeah, I noticed that in the fight scene with Rob Lowe too. Mm-hmm. There were a couple of points in this movie where I kind of noticed that. But, I didn't really think anything of it being the kind of movie that it is. Last night I had to sit through King Arthur and The Circle. There's worse shit you could be going to see. But I wouldn't say that this is worth paying theater prices to go see. Even though, like, eventually it kind of gets there. There is a little bit of charm to the movie. If you pop this up on Netflix or if you rent it, it's fine for that. It is. You'll get a little more out of this than you would, like, Bucky Larson, Born to Be a Star, or Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo, or European Gigolo.
Billy Madison's held up. I liked that movie growing up, but I doubt it's aged well.
I didn't even like that movie back then, but I
was your pudding pop.
Jesus.
No, I thought I was your snack pack.
Pudding pop? No, I'm pretty sure that was one of Harley Quinn's lines from Suicide Squad.
I mostly like that movie because of Norm Macdonald, though.
Yeah, Norm Macdonald can get laughs out of me out of bullshit. What trailers did we get in front of this?
Low Riders.
The only reason why I kind of want to see that it's got Theo Rossi in it.
I don't know who that is.
Shades from Luke Cage.
Okay.
And I fucking love that guy. So he popped up in the trailer at one point. Most of the trailer, I was like, I don't know if this movie's for me.
Yeah, this is one of those. It's like,
I gotta follow my dream.
He's a graffiti artist, and that's fine. I'm just not really big on, like, the whole, this family hates each other, but they need to learn to have relationships through a series of really intense talks.
But it is one of those, like, I gotta follow my dreams, Dad. No, you're just spray painting shit. But it's my art. I would love this. I would love the movie if the final line in it is he also says, oh, and also, I want to dance. The end.
I'd go for, oh, and by the way, I'm Banksy.
And question mark?
Spray paint the and question mark upside down question mark at the beginning.
Such zany credits for a serious movie.
Baywatch again.
Yeah, that looks funny.
Yeah, Rough Night. Okay, so this is the first time I've seen this.
You haven't seen that trailer yet?
No, I was so sold for the first half, and then the stripper dies. I'm like, oh, fucking, it's this kind of movie.
It's Very Bad Things.
Yeah.
Remember Very Bad Things?
I remember Very Bad Things, yeah. It's gender-swapped Very Bad Things.
Yeah. There were, like, 2 movies with that plot around at the same time. There was Very Bad Things, and there was another movie called Stag, which was Very Bad Things, but done as a straight thriller.
So it's kind of like the Armageddon Deep Impact sort of situation.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, like, Stag was done as like a straight-up thriller, and it starred Andrew McCarthy, Mario Van Peebles, John Stockwell, and John Henson of Talk Soup. And that was the serious one.
Fair enough.
Very Bad Things was better.
Rough Night.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
it's whatever.
I mean, it's nice to see Scarlett Johansson having a good time. I don't see that often.
Until the stripper died, and then I'm like, I'm not gonna watch people terrified that their lives are gonna be ruined. Ha 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 ha.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of like very bad things.
That's fine. No, I'm not saying like objectively it's bad. It's just
not
super not my kind of movie.
I hear you. Laura's looking forward to that because it's the producers of Broad City, and she likes that show a lot.
Well, it's got the Broad
Glazer
from Broad City.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like that could kind of go either way for me.
Snatched. That's like Goldie Hawn and
Amy Schumer. When I first saw that trailer, I was like, oh, I don't know, I like Trainwreck a lot, and I love Goldie Hawn. But I have seen that trailer in front of every movie I've seen for the past month, and now I'm like, I'm not looking forward to this.
I like Trainwreck, but I like it a lot because of Bill Hader. You know, I think that the dynamic between those two characters are what sold it for me, and this is, unless Goldie Hawn turns out to be a blonde old Bill Hader in terms of character dynamic, then I think I probably am not going to enjoy it as much.
Bill Hader is an excellent impressionist. It
turns out it was him the whole time.
It could be Bill Hader.
Just halfway through the movie, he segues seamlessly into his Alan Alda and stays as that for the rest.
That would be amazing.
I'd watch the shit out of that movie. The House?
Oh, the Will Ferrell, Jason Mantzoukas.
Oh, it looks good.
That looks really funny. Like,
it's got Jason Mantzoukas in it.
Exactly.
I'm probably gonna watch it.
Every part of that trailer with Jason Mantzoukas made me laugh my ass off.
You tell your friend they better.
Like, whenever I've seen him in a movie, like, it can be a pretty bad movie, but like Irving and I went to go see Dirty Grandpa, with the De Niro one. Yeah. But it had a couple actors in it where it was like, no matter what they do, I laugh. And he's in that movie. Him and Aubrey Plaza kind of made me laugh my ass off in that movie, to the point to where I was like, I kind of recommend this.
Oh, man, I don't want to watch Dirty Grandpa, though.
I don't know if you'd like that.
Yeah, All eyes on me. They really didn't know what previews movie. To show us for this movie.
They really didn't.
Yeah, it looks Tupac movie.
The guy they got playing him, holy shit.
He looks a lot like him. And they showed Biggie Smalls briefly, and that looked a lot like him as
God damn, like, is this a shared universe with Straight Outta Is it the same actor playing Tupac and playing Suge Knight in this movie?
Tell us in the comments.
If that's the case, nice. Oh yeah, I'm sure the old lady sitting in the back of this movie is really looking forward to this.
Oh my god. What if it turns out that they're like building towards like a Marvel Universe style Avengers style movie?
Yes.
Where like they all get together and fight crimes.
Oh, so good. I hope to God that's what happens. Oh, the Hitman's Bodyguard.
Yeah, that looks funny. Really funny.
Yeah.
And not Morgan Freeman, Samuel L. Jackson and
racist.
Yeah.
It's
one of those old black guys and then one of those young white guys, and they're like a buddy cop team.
Ryan Reynolds and Samuel Jackson, and it's like, yeah, Ryan Reynolds is a bodyguard who has to protect Samuel Jackson. It looks funny.
And then for the entire preview, they're playing "And I Will Always Love You," the Bodyguard soundtrack. Mm-hmm. It looks fucking amazing.
Yeah,
it's coming out in August. That could be my birthday present.
Hell yeah! Like, Irving and I got that trailer in front of The Circle last night. And that was the first time I'd even heard of that movie, honestly.
Yeah, this is the first I've heard of it.
Yeah, that looked good. That it?
That's it?
I don't know if I have any other final thoughts about how to be a Latin lover.
Do you think that you know more now than you did previously in regards to how to be a Latin lover?
The usher asked me the same thing when I left. See. I am an amazing lover now, and I'm gonna buy 100 cats. I learned the wrong lesson of this movie.
I'm now Latin. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh, I totally am. Can't you tell? So yeah.